Hey guys, so today we're having a deep look on how to make a custom and effective loadout. This is both for multiplayer and Warzone, but pay attention, we're not going to talk about which weapons to use, but which category of weapons to use and how to get a perfect combo of weapons, perks, and lethal and tactical equipment. Let's start by making a new loadout. Let's start with Warzone. Warzone maps are really big, therefore we need a loadout mostly for long range and mid range. The first weapon that we're going to use is a long range weapon. You can choose between snipers, marksman rifles, battle rifles, and assault rifles. And also LMGs, but LMGs are for people who have a pretty slow playstyle. The sniper rifles are for advanced people with a pretty good snappy aim. Let's start with the assault rifles. For this you can search for the current meta, and it also depends on your playstyle. For example, you gotta remember that the Karak and the Signal are fast fire rate snipers. The other ones are pretty slow. Then, for example, the Imperium is the heaviest one, so it has the least mobility. It obviously also depends on how you build them, but we're going to see this in another video. Then marksman rifles, they're pretty much... We have the SAB-50, the Lockwood MK2 are pretty much the best ones if you want a medium fire rate and a pretty good damage. The Torrent, the EBR, the SPR, and the LMS and the TACAM are more for quick fire rate and medium to low damage. And the crossbow, I do not suggest to use it for now in Warzone. For the battle rifle, you can choose among two fire modes, semi-auto and a full auto. It depends on the situation, and some of them are really good at one and bad at the other one. Then the second slot, you can choose about using a primary weapon or a secondary weapon. But let's start with the primary weapon. For Warzone, I still suggest to use an SMG because they have an extremely high time to kill at medium to low range. They're still usable at a long to mid range, but obviously not so good. And they're pretty easy to use. Shotguns are not really useful in big maps like the ones in Warzone. There will be few situations when this could actually be useful. But if you want, I suggest to not use the Lockwood 300 because this is the one that requires the lowest range to be effective. Then let's switch to secondary guns. So the handguns, the launchers, and the melee. So the melee is obviously not really good for a Warzone map because, as I said, you should prioritize mid to long range weapons. So we have the P890, which is extremely good, especially the double one. Like, this is one of the best weapons for now. It has a decent range, and at a close range, they literally destroy people. The Siege is really good, also the Akimbo ones are good, but I would not recommend it for now. The X13 Auto is pretty much an SMG with fewer rounds. Launchers, I would never recommend this for anybody, so just skip this. And now let's talk about the tactical equipment. For the tactical equipment, I will recommend to not take in consideration the shock stick, decoy grenade, spotter scope, and the snapshot grenade. I would also not recommend the stim so much. The flash grenade, the stun grenade, and the tear gas have pretty much the same function, which is using them before a fight to make your enemies blind or not able to shoot or see properly. The smoke grenade is more to get out of situations, or like when you gotta take your loadouts, run from the safe zone where people are watching you. So this is the one that I would recommend the most, especially if you're not used to using this other ones during fights. The heartbeat sensor could be useful when you are a bit of a campy player, which moves around the houses, pretty slowly, which wants to see where enemies are, and try to avoid most of the fights, but I still would not recommend this to more advanced players. Then for the lethal equipment, frag grenade, Semtex, Molotov are pretty much serve the same function. Proximity mine, C4 and Claymore also serve a different but same function among them. The drill charge is one of the most useful ones because it can penetrate through walls. The thermite is good if you get it stuck on somebody or need to escape from some situations. The throwing knife is the most fun one, and it's really good to finish off people or get rid of a good chunk of their health. Same for the throwing star, but I would still recommend the throwing knife more. Then the perks, this is one of the most important parts, which many people don't even know that you can customize them. You can go into custom packages, click plus. So overkill is to carry 2 primary weapons. Double time is one of the most useful because you can move faster. Tracker is another useful perk to see the footprint of enemies. These are pretty much the only 3 useful perks here. These are the same, you can select 2 of them, so I would recommend overkill and double time if you want 2 primary weapons. If you do not want 2 primary weapons, I would recommend to use double time and something like the tracker. Also, the scavenger could be good, but I would not recommend that much. The bonus perk is the one that you unlock after getting a kill. I would extremely recommend fast hands. Resupply is another useful one, but not as much as fast hands. The other one are pretty much not that useful. So the ultimate perk, high alert, is the most useful one. You can also use ghost if you're a bit of a camper player. You can use quick fix is another useful one, but more for Modern Warfare, not for Warzone, because you probably won't get so many kill streaks in Warzone, but if you are, use quick fix. But I think high alert is the most useful one. Now let's talk about Modern Warfare 2. Most of the Modern Warfare 2 maps are small. We'll just talk about the really small maps like Shipment or the medium small maps, not the big ones like the ones in Invasion or big team deathmatch maps. So you need a mid to long range weapon. I would really suggest an assault rifle, battle rifle or marksman rifle. You could also use a sniper, but that's really for the much more advanced players. Then for the secondary weapon, I suggest use a shotgun, an SMG, or the riot shield. This is more for people that need to level up weapons and just want to level up one weapon and be sure to not get hit in the back. Then for the secondary weapons, we on the handguns category, would suggest to use the Akimbo P890s or the Akimbo Siege. You could also use the X13 Auto or the Snake Shots. For the tactical, the smoke grenade is pretty much unuseful. Decoy grenade, stim, heartbeat sensor, a snapshot are also pretty much unuseful. I suggest to use the shock stick, but also flash, stuns, and tear gas are useful. Lethal, use a frag grenade or a drill charge or a Semtex or the throwing knife. And for the perks, pretty much aim to use the same ones as in Warzone. But I would not take in consideration tracker because you probably won't be using it. For the field upgrade, I would use the deployable cover or the trophy system. Also munition boxes and anti-armor rounds could be useful, but in less cases. And yeah, that's pretty much it. In the next video, we're going to see how to build a weapon and tune it. So this video has been an absolute hassle to edit. So a like and a subscription would be very much appreciated. I've also noticed some grammatical errors that I've made, but I didn't have enough time to remake this voiceover. And I will try to do better in the next videos. See you next time. Nothing gonna phase us out and watch us as we